What's going on, guys? Are you having problems with your furnace not heating up? Does the fan kick on but there's no heat coming out? Well, first step, you need to go make sure you have some propane first. That's like, got to make sure you got that. So if you have propane and you know propane's getting to your furnace, there's a really good chance it could be this guy right here. This is a sail switch. This goes in your little squirrel cage, which is what I call it. That's your fan. And the fan just pushes air against this and makes this little flapper close, and that's what makes the connection so it'll turn your furnace on. And 9 times out of 10, when you have your fan will kick on, but your furnace doesn't light up, it's this little guy right here. A little $7 part. And here's a I'm not a pro tip. Buy extra of these because these are very cheap. You can get a 2-pack on Amazon for 13 bucks, and they're handy to have, good to have, and you need them, especially if you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere, you're in 5-degree weather and it's freezing and you need your heater. Okay. I have to replace mine today, so I'm going to take you and I'm going to show you how to do it. It's very simple, very easy. The furnaces, if you don't know where it's at, go look for your exhaust on the outside of your trailer. See where your exhaust is. That's an easy indication. Sometimes they're underneath the cabinets in the kitchen. They could be underneath your bed. Mine happens to be down in our little basement in our storage area. I have to remove a wall, and then I have to actually unbolt the furnace and remove it away from the wall as well. It might sound like a lot, but it's very easy to do. And if you've watched any of my videos before, I've mentioned, I recommend you need to be handy if you're going to live in an RV. If you're living this lifestyle, you're traveling, or even if you're stationary, you live in an RV, things happen all the time. I mean, we're here in Pierre, South Dakota, and, well, you know what, honestly, nothing's really happened. Well, let's see, the heater went out, refrigerator quit working, water lines got frozen, block tank froze, but other than that, absolutely nothing has happened. It has been perfect. I'm going to show you how I do it. And this is a $7 part that can put some heat back in your life. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Alright, so here we are underneath the basement right here. My furnace happens to be right on the other side of this wall. So I'm going to remove this wall and we'll get right in there. So the sail switch is right up here against the wall. Right in here you can see the little cage right here. Little squirrel cage, little fan. Right over in here is where it mounts. So I got to unbolt it. There's the screws here, there's 2 on each side, and then there's a sleeve that slides in it from outside, but that'll just slide off the wall when we pull it back. So I'm going to remove those 2, and then we're going to go ahead and pull the furnace back. Now I can simply just lift up and kind of wiggle it back. It only takes a little bit of effort because it's got that tube. It's got that tube right there coming through the wall that goes into, that's the exhaust and the intake right back there. So you got to kind of pull it off, wiggle it off because it's kind of stuck on there. Now you can just kind of position this. Go back a little bit here. And there we go. All right, here's the back. Here's the sail switch right here. That's where it mounts up to. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these 2 screws and then pull this guy off here. There it is. You take those 2 screws out and there it is. It's right there mounted on this little plastic thing. So we're going to unbolt that as well and then go ahead and put the new one on. Okay, right here it's got one has a double wire and then there's a single wire. The double wire goes on the outside here. The single wire on the inside. All right, so now that the sail switch is out, here's a little I'm not a pro tip. If you don't have a sail switch to switch it, what you can do is get this guy off. If you have sandpaper, you have a screwdriver, anything like that, or a razor knife, what you can do is you can just go ahead and you can scrape these guys. You're just cleaning the contacts there. And I've done that actually a year ago. Last winter I had to do the same thing because it quit working on us. I'm gonna chalk it up to too much dog hair. There was a little bit of dog hair in there. Not a lot, but a little bit. It quit working. I took it out, I cleaned it. I cleaned these, put it back on. Worked for the last year until about a week ago. Last week I took it off, cleaned it, didn't have another one, so I just cleaned it, put it back on, and it worked. And it's worked now just over a week. But here I am last night, quit working again. I had already ordered 2 extras. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch those out today. But if you don't have one, just go ahead and clean these terminals here. Really good. These are the only connections that you really have that you could clean. Then that way when you put them back on, it'll make a connection. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But there you go. Let's go put the new one on. Here is the new one. All right, well, let's bolt it on the back here. This little guy here goes on your plastic piece. It slides through. And then you can see there's 2 holes right here, and that's what ends up bolting it to that little piece of plastic. You don't want to go too tight. Normally I wouldn't use this guy, but I don't have a small screwdriver handy. So I'm just using that. You don't want to go too tight, but there it is. Mounted back up on there. And see, all it does is that little fan in there blows it, and it just pushes this close. Now I just put this guy back in here. Get our screws here. So we'll go ahead and the single one goes on the inside. And the double wire goes on the outside. There we go. If you have loose connections or anything, you can always squeeze those a little tighter to make them nice and tight. These seem pretty tight, so I'm not going to worry about it. So now I'll go ahead and push everything back. And in case you're curious, for how they're ducted, I don't know if you can see the hole down there. That's how it's ducted. There's a little spot on the bottom that just blows the air out. There it goes. Now the trickiest part of this when you go to put this back in is you have to line up the little exhaust pipe that's coming through the wall back into that hole. You see it right there, that pipe in there? So one thing you can do is on the outside here is you can go ahead and use your finger and press the little tube here to move it around so you can go ahead and line it up in there. Alright, then you just slide it till it's all the way back up there. It's up against the wall, back how it should be. I'll go ahead and bolt these guys down. Alright, so we got those all bolted back down. I'm going to go in and fire it up and let's see what's going on. Alright, moment of truth. Let's turn this thing on and see what happens. Gotta go up above it. Right inside that fan right there. That just spins and pushes the air so we can just close that circuit on that switch. That's what they do. Once it's closed, then it allows it to pass all the safety stuff and go ahead and fire up the furnace. Alright, fingers crossed that that's it for this one. Alright, well that's it for switching out the sail switch. All right, well that's it for changing out the sail switch. Pretty easy to do, even if you have to remove the unit. Some units you don't have to. They're right accessible to where you can get to them on the side, switch those out, put it right back on. Even though I had to take this little wall down and pull my furnace, it's really not that hard at all. Hardest thing is lining the tube back up coming through the wall. Other than that, easy job. All right, hope that helps.